Jules, you're the perfect man to speak to about Randall Kolo Muani, because I know you saw a lot of him in a PSG shirt. And there might be some Spurs fans watching this thinking, hold on, this guy won 2 league titles during his time in France. He's played 31 times for the national team.
Yeah.
That is not the player that they've seen.
No, unfortunately, apart from maybe the game away at PSG, where he was really outstanding. Maybe
and there is only goals, Jules, by the way. 2 in 23 appearances for Tottenham.
I thought he was very good against Copenhagen as well, at home in the Champions League too. But he hasn't been good enough. And he felt at the time already when they signed him really late in that summer transfer window. It was not just a panic signing because he was a loan anyway, but he felt like, okay, we don't have anything. Solanke, we're not sure when he's going to come back. Let's get number 9. He's there. He's ready. He's across the channel. He took the Eurostar. It was very quick. Yeah. I was not sure at the time that he fitted really what Thomas Frank was trying to do at the time. And again, that was in August. And I think we've been proven right. He's a good player. If you play on his strength, he can bring you something. Spurs haven't really played on his strength, and he is struggling a little bit. And again, it's a World Cup year where competition for places in this France squad, even at 26 men, will be extremely hard for him to even to have a place on the plane. So he needs to play more between now and the end of the season, and he won't get that at Spurs. We know it.
Yeah, and James touched on it there, Michael. But the word that you're hearing, no one's leaving Tottenham.
No one's leaving, from my understanding at the moment. I mean, they need players in. If Kolo Muani was to have his loan terminated by Tottenham Hotspur, they would have to replace him somehow, because you talk about Kolo Muani and Mathys Tel. One game they play on the left, one game they play up front, one game they play on the left, one game they're benched. No one, and then Richarlison on the left, bench, forward. No one has really taken it and said, right, I'm gonna do this. And Tottenham are relying on goals from Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero. I mean, in terms of outgoings, there is interest from West Ham United, from the goalkeeper Antonin Kinski. But again, Spurs fans will point to it. Well, if he goes, Spurs will need to have an experienced number 2, because it's not been a great season for Guillermo Vicario either.
Yeah, well, Spurs fans, stay with us, because next we are live to Liverpool training with the latest on Andy Robertson's future. That is coming up.
afternoon.
I'm sure all the Arsenal fans would want to know how much ammunition are you going to give Arsene Wenger to find. It'll be enough.
Arsene wanted certain players to come in, and meanwhile he wasn't really the manager yet.
I went a few times to watch Kane play, and I asked after the game, who is this guy?
Patrick was top of his list.
He was telling me that he was on his way to Arsenal, and I said, listen, you're going anywhere, I'll follow you.
He was going to join Ajax, and in fact I think Bayern Munich were also in for him at the time.
I spent 3 days in Amsterdam.
So we had hijack it.
His agents called me, tell him to take the plane to fly to London.
We were breaking the mould. We had to rely on Arsene's judgment.
Adding a continental touch to Arsenal's never say die style is what Wenger is promising.
Quand je suis venu, je veux dire, il y a tout ce qu'il faut pour être un grand club. Je veux dire, ils ont un public qui est fabuleux.
I believe he has a great future.
At the time, English players were dominant. It was a risk, yes, when we bought foreign players.
He knew what I was missing to go to the top.
We weren't used to this at Arsenal. We were very British. I was like, who are all these French guys?
Steve Bold turned around with his tray full of beers. I just remember Patrick Tengstedt square.
He was special. How they see Milan got rid of him.
Quite literally unbeatable.
Captain of the Invincibles.
You don't get a better legacy than that.
It was one of the greatest bargains in the history of Premier League transfers. Patrick Vieira, £3.5 million.
He should have a statue, in my opinion.
Everybody realized that guy could change the destiny of Arsenal Football Club.
The rest is history.
Oh, what a player he was, and now best friends with Roy Keane. You can see the full episode of Patrick Vieira Transfer 360 on Sky Sports News, 2:30 this afternoon for you. Right, let me tell you that Celtic have made an inquiry for the Bodo Glimt striker Casper Tengstedt when they face competition from a number of clubs across Europe. It's understood that the 25-year-old remains a target for Norwich City in the Championship as well. They continue to monitor the situation. You might remember very recently he scored twice, didn't he? Last week, in fact, in Bodo Glimt's 3-1 Champions League win over Manchester City, which, Jules, might have just ramped up the price a little bit.
I think so. They added 5 million easily, if not more, Bodo Glimt on what could be a big transfer for them, because as we know, they're obviously very good. They have those players that usually come through the academy or come from a smaller club in Norway. And then they give them the platform to show what they can do, especially in the Champions League or the Europa League, like last season, where they've done really, really well in recent years. And then after that, that's the right platform for you if you want to go abroad. And I'm not surprised that a club like Celtic, for example, I'm not sure if he's ready yet for, let's say, a top 6 Premier League club. He's 25. He was in great form at the start of, the season is a bit different to our season in Scandinavia, but he's only scored now 3 in 16, for example, since August. But before that, he was on fire. He's mobile, but he's tall. He's good in the air. We saw the header that he scored against City. He's got a decent right foot as well, good movement. So I think he's a very good striker, certainly for Celtic and Scottish football, for the Championship probably, but even for the Premier League, but maybe not just yet for the top clubs.
Yeah, he was flying at the beginning of their seasons, obviously out of sync the season in Norway, but from March until August, he scored 17 goals in 20 games, and Norwich probably thought they could get a nice little gem over the line.
That's a right title race as well you've got in Scotland, haven't you, with Hearts, Rangers and Celtic. I mean, wow.
3-way.
Yeah.
First time in ever. Well, certainly in our lifetime anyway. Let's get to Aston Villa now and talk about midfielders that they need in and sharpish, and are they going about this?
Yeah, I mean, this one sort of ticks so many boxes. Douglas Luiz, Villa in talks to re-sign him, a player they know so well. They're pushing for a new midfielder on loan. Of course, you know, they're looking to bring players in. It could be a season to remember for Aston Villa and Unai Emery, but they do need players. They've got some injuries. John McGinn the other day picking up an injury. Yuri Tielemans, the latest injury. Boubacar Kamara could be out for the season. So it's not really worked for him at Forest for one reason or another. So we'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, Villa in talks with Douglas Luiz, which will obviously be a return for him, a club he knows and a manager he's worked very well at Villa Park before.
Yeah, somewhere where he was, for 5 years. And Jules, last week when I saw the stories of Chelsea potentially looking at Douglas Luiz, I thought, how long before we hear that Aston Villa are interested? And we know they've been restricted by PSR, but this makes so much sense, doesn't it? Going back to the manager that put you on the map in the Premier League, because he didn't get a chance at Manchester City.
No, you're right. Made you Brazil international as well. And again, we go back to the World Cup year. And for Douglas Luiz, if he wants to go back into this Carlo Ancelotti squad, he will have to play. Juventus didn't work out for him. I'm a bit surprised that he had such a bad time there. Not that he played much, but when he did play, it was a disaster. Forest brings him back to the Premier League, and then again, you don't use him. And I know you've got Elliot Anderson and Sangare there who work really well together with each other, maybe more than a Luiz and Sangare or Elliot Anderson. So that was difficult for him. But if you're Aston Villa and Unai Emery and you've got no McGinn, you've got no Kamara, especially probably because he's more the replacement of Kamara more than McGinn. And you've got still Onana and Tielemans to play with in the next 4 months, it's a no-brainer, for sure. You've sold him for 60 million and he's coming back for free on loan.
Absolute no-brainer. And bearing in mind, he's only made 14 appearances for Nottingham Forest. That surprises me. And not a lot of those starts. Elliot Anderson is the guy there, right? And was under Nuno and is now under Sean Dyche.
The only thing I would say just is in terms of match fitness. I'm just not sure for a guy in his position how long it might take him to be ready to play 90 minutes in the Premier League and then in Europe 4 days later, and then again in the Premier League. And the problem in January is that you need players who can have an impact straight away. You can't wait a month for the guy to get fit.
But what a move for him to go into a Premier League title race, because that's what they're in, whether they like it or not, or whether people don't believe it watching. They are there points-wise.
Yeah, and the experience, the know-how of having played for the club before, he knows exactly tactically what Unai Emery could ask of him or of the team. So it just makes a lot of sense as long as he can get fit very quickly and have an impact straight away.
Let me tell you, Michael, they will love that, the Villa fans, because they never wanted to lose him in the first place. Will they love the new striker that they're looking at as well? Someone that's already played at Villa Park.
Well, you say, yeah. I mean, new. I mean, they know and love him very well. I mean, you know, looking back, it just shows the growth of Aston Villa so soon, that rapid growth, and why recruitment is the absolute key. Villa were a championship side with Tammy Abraham, but this is really interesting. This is some deals that we might be getting over the next few days. Loans being cancelled for something. Besiktas have confirmed Tammy Abraham's loan from Roma has been made permanent, which opens the door for Villa to complete the proposed move to sign him on a permanent deal.
Which is a great deal all round as well, isn't it? And for Besiktas, who make a little bit of money in January as well. Right, do not go anywhere, because on the way, Pep Guardiola is speaking to the media live. Plus, will Douglas Luiz be on his way out? We'll touch more on that as well, a former Manchester City player. But Pep Guardiola, stay with us. Next, ahead of that Champions Welcome back. Pep Guardiola on the way shortly. Let's talk Lucas Paquetá, though, and his return to Brazil is getting ever closer, Michael Bridge. What can you tell us about this?
Yep, close to confirmation that he was going to be a Flamengo player, 35.8 million deal, close to being agreed. And Flamengo start this season away at Sao Paulo on Thursday. I mean, it's a sad one, really, in the sense for many West Ham supporters a few years ago. Talks of 70 million bid. It was a big signing from Lyon. And if you'd have said to me that West Ham have won their last 2 league matches, I would have assumed that would have been with Paquetá, such a key player that he is. I think everyone wants to end this saga now completely.
Yeah, I still think it's a bit disappointing that he doesn't want to stay, at least until the end of the season, and fight to keep them up in the Premier League after everything that they did for him and the way they supported him as well. But you can't keep a player who doesn't want to be there anyway. As Bridget just said, they did well without him in the last 2 games, for example. So there's also a life after Paquetá or without Paquetá. Let's hope they can also reinvest this money and sign another player of his kind of profile. His caliber will be very difficult because it's not every day you can sign a Brazilian international of the level of Paquetá. But it's probably the right thing to do for everybody. He wanted to go home. There was no point for them to keep him against his will, his desire. And it's decent money, although probably not close to what he's really worth.
Well, they signed him for more than £50 million, didn't they?
Yeah.
And there was so much excitement around that time. You saw a lot of him in a Lyon shirt when he was playing in Ligue 1. But also, time is running out in terms of this stretching towards the end. We've been talking about this move back to Brazil, haven't we, for more than a week now. And you'd imagine West Ham, given the situation they're in down the bottom of the Premier League table, want to spend that 35 that they're going to get on reinforcements in midfield.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about potentially Adama Traore coming in from Fulham. But just for me, though, it's, West Ham have got this new lease of life all of a sudden. These 2 huge wins. But I just go back to it. Paquetá, does he leave? What legacy does he leave? He was the one who put the assist forward for Jared Bowen to score that winner in the UEFA Conference final. But I still go back to it. You look at the value, what they're going to get, West Ham, but is a much better player than 35.5 million.
I agree. One of the most gifted players they've ever had. I know it might not be one of the greatest players they've ever had, but certainly in terms of gift and talent, there's just no doubt. And he hasn't always worked out for him, but he still was so much quality. And we said when they signed Tati Castellanos and Pablo that they also need defensive reinforcement, because Nuno's game is all about making sure you're solid defensively, which is not the case really since he took over. So I really hope that some of that money could at least, if you can't get a midfielder of the profile of Paquetá, at least make sure you get better defenders.
And look, Tim Vickery was on this show last week. Flamengo are a huge club.
Yeah.
And if he plays for them, he's got every chance of going to the World Cup, and he sees himself in the starting 11. Right, let's get to Pep Guardiola, because he's speaking ahead of their Champions League game against Galatasaray. It is a big Champions League game. It's potentially a must-win if they're going to finish in the top 8. Here's Pep.
I'm just wondering how you assess the overall situation. I mean, so many teams so close together on 13 points. You obviously need to win, but there's other results. How do you feel about it all?
Good. I prefer to have more, but here's what we deserve, 30 points. We need to focus and try to win our game and seeing which position we finish.
And in terms of that, do you have to be aware of the other results? Do you have to be thinking about goal difference?
We see the result the last 5-10 minutes. How is our result? And after that, we see. So we have to focus and win our game. That is the key.
So. Thanks. Hi, Pep. You've talked a lot about Bernardo Silva, or been asked a lot about Bernardo Silva recently, and how you sleep better at night when you know he's going to play. How does a player get to that level of being that good and that intelligent on the pitch?
He's a street player. All the players, for our fault, is educated what they have to do, and just he does what the game dictates what he has to do in every action. Street player. He's intuitive. He knows exactly what he has to do.
Did you know you were going to get that kind of player 10 years ago, or did you buy him for something else?
I was impressed. We were impressed when we played against Monaco, but not that level.
What kind of player did you think it was? Just playing in the pockets, dribbles, and he's obviously become so much more.
Yeah, dribbles, yeah. I like what he has at the ball, but of course the players, you know him when you are with them day by day. especially in the difficulty situations. And Bernardo has been defined, especially in the bad moments, how react or how he behave. In the good moments, everyone is fine. It's in the bad moments, and Bernardo, of course, I was expecting was a really good player. Won with Monaco, the French league. That is not easy being PSG there. But when you are many years, 9 years together, so you know him perfectly. He's never injured. Never. Every 3 days play, no massage, nothing. Have an incredible genetic nature to recover and play. And yeah, we have seen it for many years. It's part of the success of this club, alongside for many other ones. Is one of the greatest.
Hi Pep, I know you said a couple of weeks ago that Erling was exhausted and obviously he didn't start at the weekend. How is he? Is he fully ready to go and come back into the team this week?
I didn't have dinner with him last night, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see today.
You're very much in the hunt for 4 trophies still this season. How much would it help your chances when it comes to the business end of the campaign if you were to avoid a playoff and to manage to finish in the top 8?
No, I'll try to win tomorrow. Galatasaray is a league in the Turkish league. You see the players, all of them are exceptional. We'll have to make an incredible effort with our fans, give more that we can give for the situation, for a lot of absence that we have, and after we see what happens.
Pep, we've got Gundogan and Leroy Sané coming back tomorrow. Can you sort of sum up how much of a contribution those two made to your time here?
Not bad at all. Huge contribution. My grateful is eternal for both of them. Incredible, lovely persons. Incredible mates. Happy to see them back tomorrow.
With Ilkay in particular, he was such a sort of a key figure for you. How difficult was it for you to sort of let him go?
It was a little bit longer than Leroy, but Leroy was really important. He gave us a gift, something unique. It was a special player. The connection when Kevin was there, and our midfield players with Leroy was exceptional, and Gundogan, honestly, to tell you. So I've been a captain for the travel season. Massive character. Another player quite similar like Bernardo. Top player in the top games. Big player in the big games. So, yeah, top.
Just go back to Erling, Pep. Your job obviously is to analyse the team. You do that very well, etc. Why do you think he's not scored from open play in the last sort of 6 or 7 games? What is it? Him? Is it the team?
The team.
And what's happening in the team then? What?
Not to play better.
With regard to?
Sorry?
With regard to what? Taking up better positions, being more aggressive, decisive?
Create more chances. They will score. Never underestimate the strikers, the goal scorers, because always they will make you silent. So we want to score for the rest of his life, that's for sure.
And I appreciate you didn't have dinner with him yesterday evening, but would you speak to him, or have you spoken to him just to sort of, I don't know, manage him a little bit? Let him know you still believe. Is that your sort of style sometimes?
I'm not good in that. I'm a overthinking manager, not man management.
So that's interesting, because there is a sort of considered wisdom that at the very elite level, it's actually all about man management. How you sort of, get different personalities to gel and keep them going.
Yeah, the new generation manages just the videos. We are not man management. We don't talk. I don't talk with the players since the last 3 years, so I don't talk with them.
Very wise.
Less problems.
Pep, you've obviously had a few days to reflect now on the Wolves game. You've obviously said that on occasion in the past your emotions can get the better of you at times. So just wondered on reflection what you thought about your comments about Faria Halam, the Premier League referee, making his debut, and whether you thought you went a bit too far with some of the comments you made on Saturday.
They defend the statements always. They defend each other, completely understandable. So they have to do that. But at the same time, they had to defend my club. How many times I criticized the referees last season was the worst season in 10 years? How many times?
I'd have to go back and check. I don't know how many times.
That's true, because it never happened.
Right. Okay, but I'm saying he was
against United. What happened? You were there after the United game. What was my comments against the referees? Tell me.
No, they weren't about Dallo. No. What I'm saying is, obviously,
I was incredibly respectful in 9-10 years with the referees. Never, ever. when it defeats and everything, never comment absolutely anything. When I don't have arguments to do it, that's the only reason why. But I know they defend each other, pundits, and everyone defends. You know, I understand completely. But I defend my players, I defend my club. That's why I owe them my club and my people, and not what happened and that.
I know you made some obviously general comments about, you know, you felt that you'd obviously won all those titles despite the referees. I was referencing particularly the comments about a referee making his Premier League debut and you implying that he was making...
If he fell offend, I'm so sorry. I know it's not easy for a debut, and it's happened. So I know they are so sensitive, everyone. Yeah, I know that.
Well, I mean, it's not sensitive. It was quite a big comment to make about a guy making his Premier League debut. Probably.
That's why you can write an article and you can go back the statements. You can write it and you do it what happened. So just take a look in 10 years when we defeat the FA Cup finals. You know, for the position of the referees, the keeper. You know, for Crystal Palace, it's a natural position. It was a red card. It was not a red card. Look my comments after the game. Never, ever, in 10 years, in our defeats and our problems, I never criticized the referees. I know it's a difficult position. What I'm saying this is because there are arguments and reasons why we have done it. And I defend my club and my players. And they defend, or Webb defend the referees. He has to do that. He cannot live on how to do it. It's difficult. Look what happened today in the boxes, in the corners, in the free kicks, in every action. Look what happened. It's not easy for everyone. And every action is fault. Every action. Every action is fault. I know it's not easy, but I have to defend my club and my players, you know, for many, many reasons. And never, ever, in 10 years when we win a defeat or when we lose in a Champions League, in the Champions League, in the Premier Leagues, in FA Cups, it won't happen. The first statement is congratulate to the opponent all the time. All the time. When I do it, it's because I believe it's fair enough to tell. But if you say for 1 time or 2 times, 3 times in 10 years, I am the type of, okay, it's fine. So everyone defends his position. You defend where you work, right? I defend my club and my players and what happened in many. When you are 6 minutes for a disallowed goal in Carabao Cup, I had to tell him, you know. I have. With the hands is against Wolves, it happened. And after Crystal Palace Chelsea, what happened in the hands, I have to tell. Because I don't expect the referees going to defend, but I have to defend ourselves. For the thing is, it's fair enough.
Hi, Pep. Everyone talks about the intimidating atmosphere when they go and play in Turkey at Galatasaray. Can your supporters make the Etihad as intimidating tomorrow?
Everyone is cultural. I was in there when I was a football player in Barcelona, but never ever, I was unlucky for that year when I was in Barcelona, Bayern Munich and now City, never we face against Turkish teams away. I would love to go to Istanbul, but we're in Istanbul in a big night for us for that club, obviously reasons, but against Galatasaray or Fenerbahce or Besiktas, to see 3 names that normally are in Europe teams, I've never been there. So I know, I spoke with some players here and there, the atmosphere is unbelievable, but every club and every country and every culture is every culture. So what we expect is the people come tomorrow, support us in the bad moments we have because they are a top team. So Galatasaray have a huge respect for how good they are.
And can I just ask about Nico Gonzalez? Is he going to be available?
Today is the last.
A fiery press conference from Pep Guardiola. Fighting talk from the City boss still to come on Transfer Talk. Manchester United have been hit by an injury blow and he's got 18 months left on his Bayern Munich contract. Will Harry Kane be staying with the Bundesliga club? Welcome back. Right, let's talk Harry Kane, shall we? He looks set to extend his time at Bayern Munich. What a time, Michael Bridge, he is having out there on the verge of back-to-back Bundesliga trophies. 36 goals in 31 for club and country this season. That's not bad going, isn't it? But he looks like he's staying in Germany for now and maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, Bayern have opened talks with Harry Kane over a potential new contract. The deal runs until the summer 2027. There is this clause of around 57 million this January, but my understanding is that there's not been any interest whatsoever from the Kane camp for that to be exercised by any club. He's extremely happy. I think what's the most important, which people sometimes forget, is that his family are with him. Yeah. They are so happy, and we can't not take that into account.
Yeah. What would, Jules, do you think, tempt him back to the Premier League one day? Because it's hard to believe that he's still only 32. He's a goal machine. Shearer's record, 47 off it.
That's the only thing. And again, I don't think he can play for any other club than Tottenham Hotspur anyway. So he would have to go back to
what are you trying to say, Jules?
No. Which is, because if he could go somewhere else, maybe. I don't see him going anywhere else. So
you don't think down the line, say Manchester United did come in with some colossal bid, that he would be tempted to somewhere else in the Premier League, not Spurs?
I can't see him happening. I can't see it happening, and we see that he's not that far from Shearer's record, to be fair. At his level, and with his finishing, probably would take him 2 seasons. Okay, maybe a little bit more if he gets older and comes back when he's 35, because he turned 33 in the summer, by the way.
But Michael, you know him. What's the motivation? Because reading between the lines before he went to Bayern Munich, it was the trophy, right? And straight away he struggled to do that in the first season because Leverkusen won the Bundesliga and he didn't even win the Super Cup, didn't he, in his first game?
It was 24 hours later he had a chance to win a trophy at the German Super Cup. We were talking off air, the Super Cups in other countries, Germany, Italy, Spain, sort of seem to have a bit more importance than the Community Shield here. Maybe we should call it the English Super Cup. I don't know. Anyway, that's for another day.
But he's itched that scratch now. He's got the Bundesliga. He's going to have 2 of them.
But
I can get more over there.
Yeah, and I also feel that he's really going to push with Vincent Kompany. How good is Bayern's side in Europe? They've still not done enough in Europe for me, Champions League-wise.
But that's what Bayern are judged on. They're not. They're expected to win the Bundesliga every season. They're expected to do the treble, the domestic treble every season. If they do that, they still don't please all the Bayern fans. It's about winning the Champions League. I just wonder whether that sway of getting to 261 will eventually be his next big bit of silverware.
But not before he's given a good go to win the Champions League with Kompany at Bayern. Because you can tell there's something special happening. You've got young players like Karl who are amazing. You still have Musiala coming back from injury. Plus Olise and Kane and Olise are close on and off the pitch and they're working so well together. So he's right to want to stay a little bit longer. And when they win the Champions League, then he can reassess it and say, okay, I've won everything here, I can win. Let me go back to England and try to break that record. And I really believe it will be with Spurs, no one else.
The only thing I would say is by the time if he does come back is where he would play. He's one of the best passers in Europe for me. I mean, he won the Golden Assist a few years ago. He's that good of a footballer. Does he drop back a little bit? Also, just on Germany as well, they have a very mini win to break, don't they? Which is very important probably for Thomas Tuchel as well. And is this his last opportunity in the summer at a major international tournament?
We shall see. Right, Liverpool are looking to secure a top 8 finish in the Champions League with a win over Qarabag. We can cross live now to Vinny O'Connor, who is watching them prepare for that game. Vinny, afternoon. In terms of players potentially on their way out of Anfield, a name that's been banded around is Andy Robertson. Is he out there today?
He is out there. He's just made his way out. Liverpool just a little bit late start in training today. They're still actually to get the session going. If I step out the way, you'll be able to see them just gathering over beyond on the far pitch over there. Arne Slot is out there as well. But Andy Robertson, as I say, taking his place alongside his teammates ahead of training. Now, it seemed a bit strange, really, didn't it, for Liverpool to be contemplating letting Andy Robertson go in this window, even if